Welcome to my review of the Moondrop Quarks. It's kind of a funky name, and yeah, these are a very budget focused single DD per side. And yeah, as usual, full disclaimer is these were sent out to me by Shenzhen Audio Store. Thank you very much appreciated. I was not paid to do this video, and all the thoughts and opinions are my own. And yeah, like I said, these are a very budget focused kind of option from them. And yeah, let's get into it. So it comes just in this box, Quarks, which is kind of a funny name. So here's the EQ. You can see there's a peak at 3K. We'll see what that's like. Apart from that, it's not a bad frequency response. So 20 Hz, 20 kilohertz, 116 decibels of sensitivity, 16 ohm impedance. Should be quite easy to power, and that's pretty much it really. THD, total Harman distortion. Yeah, let's see what these are like. And you even get a waifu. In order to fully experience the sound quality of these earphones, please wear it per this guide. And she's got some right there. So she's telling you how to fit it. Pause that if you want to read it. And yeah, check these in a sec. So you get a kind of cheapo pouch, which is not too bad for the price. These are just under $13. So you get this pouch. It's not too bad. You get small, medium and large tips. They look kind of one similar to the Aria. Product manual. As you say, if you want to read anything, just pause the video. I'm just going to quickly skim through it. Information about the company, how to wear them, burning, if that's what you want to do, storage, notes, after sales terms, warranty card, after sales sheet. Yeah. So these are very small. They are labelled as a 6mm dynamic driver, well, micro dynamic. And yeah, I'm going to pause the video and unravel it and see what they're actually like. So they come with a right angle connector, which is good. Which is what I prefer for actual portable gear. It saves the strain going straight out in case you're breaking it off in your DAP or whatever you're using. So this is the kind of cable we use. It's a bit rubbery. It's a bit, as you can see, it's kept the shape of when it was wrapped up. Hopefully with heat and time, so this will straighten out. It's a little bit rubbery. It's not too bad. Bear in mind these are, I think, $12.99. So Y split there. That's the Moondrop logo. Moondrop technology. So L, you can see this actual shape of L, and R is in red. I like that. That's really cool. You can see it says R. Especially with different colours, just to differentiate from each one. No real strain relief. Obviously, what you see is what you get. So there's the DD there. Like I said, it's a 6mm, and that's just some foam. But also, if you read the promotion materials, to help stop any moisture or anything like that. So yeah, and that's it. Good they've actually added a small lip on the nozzle to keep the tip on, very small, but even the Arias and like the Starfield don't have that. And yeah, let's see. I'm going to put some few hours on these little bad boys, and I'll be back with the review. Hopefully they're not too bad, and hopefully I'll see what that 3K peak is like. And yeah, and you'll see me in a few seconds in the future. So finally on to the review part. Obviously that red one is R, the black one is L, so left and right. I like that. They're very straightforward because at a quick glance they look, identical, but because they have L&R on the back. That's kind of good. So on to isolation. Is in the actual advertising promotional like material, they do say the front cavities like got high isolation. That actually is correct. These do isolate very well. I'm just going to show you now. There is a small vent here right next to the cable for your focus. So my little finger, the one here, there is a small hole there. So that allows the driver to do what it's supposed to do. But these do isolate very well, which is very good. Sensitivity, these are really not the hard to power. You shouldn't really have any issues at all connecting it to your device. And if it's not very powerful, these should be perfectly fine. Imaging on these as well is okay. They're not too bad at all. Now, as a size comparison, these are it's hard to describe, but I actually have small hands and small fingers. These are very small, so I'm going to get obviously not the same kind of earphone. Here's an Aria. So for example, rough measurement, as you can see, these are very small. So yeah, finally onto the sound. Vortex, what do these sound like? These have a Harman-ish safe signature, apart from higher up, which I'll explain in a bit. So this is the packaging it came with. I've already shown you, obviously, the unboxing. The only thing of note is here, the 3K peak. That's only one of the real negatives kind of at this price, but I'll get to that in a bit. So sound is these have mild bass. Is probably the best way to describe it. So these are more bass light, which is good or bad. If you're a bass head, you probably won't like them, but because it's leaner on the low end, there is enough of it. It's not completely like dead in the low frequencies. It does make the mids sound clean, like lower mids. It just sound very clean because there's nothing. You're not going from a lot of bass up down to lower mids, but it does sound clean. Not much to say really. The low end performs exactly as it should. You also have to bear in mind these are only $13. Well, just under $13, which for UK pounds is like under £10, which is obviously not a lot. And obviously Moondrop on purpose are trying to compete in a very competitive kind of price range. Between $10 to $20, $25, $30 is very, it's a very competitive field. And I think I do well. But anyway, mids are very clean, shall we say. The mids aren't shouty. I was expecting, because of that 3K peak, but because it happens a little bit further up. Vocals on these are actually perfectly fine. They're not really far away. They're not really in your face. It's a really good kind of balance is probably the best way to describe it. But the mids and all this do sound, they sound actually quite fine. Nothing really to say. Treble, so lower treble region, which has got that 3K. That's the only real negative, but it depends on what you're actually listening to. So I've tried this with some TV shows. For example, you may or may not have heard it called Clarice, which is an American, like Canadian show, and that has a good score to it. And the 3K peak you don't really notice because the score's varied. But if you actually use this with music, the 3K peak is actually more noticeable, so you have to bear that in mind. But if you're willing to EQ the 3K down a bit, I don't really see any problems. If you're not willing to EQ it, you have to pay attention to that. That's what they look like. And then obviously the treble rolls off, so it does have a kind of Harman-ish kind of sound signature. And like technicalities and tonality, again, for what you're paying, is perfectly fine. I do recommend to EQ down a bit that the 3K section, because it is a bit much, but smooth it down. I don't really see any problems. Again, these are only $13. They're not $50, $60 or $70 and nothing like that. But yeah, technical performance for what they are seems fine, and like I said, the tonality again sounds pretty good. Everything sounds clear. They don't really do anything wrong. Obviously, they're not amazing performers. You know, you have to be willing of the price, but for what they are pretty good. So I'm going to actually just get on to the negative. Is obviously attached cable, as you can see, which is good or bad. So if you ever get a problem with the wire, you're stuck unless you're quite creative. But then again, if you use these in public, you'll never lose them because the buds can't fall off. And I think that's it really. But overall, they do sound, I'm quite happy with them. The actual technical performance is actually okay. And it obviously all depends on what your music genre is. The tuning is kind of safe, apart from the 3K peak. There's no real harshness or anything like that. They are kind of a safe tuning. They seem to work quite well, but it depends, obviously. I won't go into, but everybody listens to different genres of music, so you have to bear that in mind. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. My cable, as you can see, has got some kinks in it, which hopefully, as you can see, hopefully over time they straighten out. The cable is quite soft, so I think it probably will. But yeah, these are not too bad at all. I think the tuning for the price is actually, more than acceptable. And yeah, on to the conclusion. So my conclusion of the Moondrop Quarks, which has got a funky name, is for the $13 price point or just under, they're actually pretty good. Obviously, they're not perfect. They do have kind of a rubbery cable, but for me, that was actually fine, really. They do have, obviously, as you can see, attached cables, which may or may not be good for you. And yeah, overall technical performance and the tonality is actually it's perfectly fine. No real issues. It's just that 3K is a little bit, it can be much. It just depends how that affects you. But if you're willing to EQ that down a bit, these are actually, they're not too bad at all. And yeah, just what they look like. They are tiny in the flesh. Obviously, they use a 6mm, I think, micro driver. And yeah, I think that's it. As usual, if you want to know anything in particular, just let me know in the comments. And thank you very much for watching, and take care.